education and research moving. This is the way to go. I would like to thank the NEMRA board for continuing to support us in our work as NEMRA EXCOM. I would like to salute and congratulate the NEMRA Executive Committee for making this possible today. And we pledge no less than doing our very best. I remind you that we have a series of activities as NEMRA. I think the MD will further clarify on this, whom I warmly welcome, Dr. Karl Max Rutaro and my colleague, comrade, Dr. Muhimbo Martin. I therefore would also like to take time to introduce myself. I later on request when the right time comes for Dr. Martin to introduce our keynote speaker or main convener to this seminar. I thank God for the progress we are making, but particularly I would like that you all invite a friend to register to belong to NEMRA, because also we are arranging a large conference, the second multidisciplinary research conference. So now I introduce myself. My name is Agad Ruzazandarhutse. I'm a career researcher and lifelong learner based at Mbarara University of Science and Technology, where I lead engaged scholarship through especially the Mbarara University Community-Based Education Research and Service Program. And for NEMRA, I'm the coordinator, training and mentorship department. I welcome you all. It is my considered opinion that I've used enough time. Over to you, Dr. Martin. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Dr. Gad, one of the esteemed members of NEMRA, for those beautiful remarks. As a way of introduction, I'm requesting for Dr. Karl Max, if he's here, also to introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Martin, thank you for the opportunity to allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Karl Max Rutaro, based at Makerere University. I'm a lecturer in biochemistry. I currently the MD for NEMRA. Lots of other activities that NEMRA and the NEMRA executive is engaged in will come at the end when we are closing this seminar today. Dr. Martin Muhimbo and the rest of the team that is already here, thank you, and let's listen in and tap into the vast knowledge experience of Dr. Nazarious. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karl Max, for those beautiful words. We have 15 people here already who have logged in. The rest of you have not yet introduced yourselves. It's your turn. Togabi Olive, you can take the lead. Olive, are you there? Olive is busy. Any other person can give him his introduction.
Muhimbo Geoffrey from OIMA. I'm a PhD student.
Welcome, Geoffrey. Another one?
Yes, Raymond Westje. I'm a lecturer at MAST in the Department of Nursing and Midwifery.
Welcome, Raymond.
His own number. Nazarious Rukanyangira.
Yes, I am on. I'm listening in.
Yeah, he's on, yeah. Another person introduce themselves before the professor. Naomi, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Violet Asemwe. I'm a lecturer at Nkumba University. I'm a PhD student too.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. I would
Welcome,
like
Violet.
I would like to be a member of NEMRA. This is my first time to attend this, but I would really be glad to know more about NEMRA. Thank you.
You're welcome, Violet, to be a member. And to become a member is very easy. You just register online. We shall send you the link on, and then you will be able to pay 100,000 for annual membership subscription, and then become a member of NEMRA. Other details will be sent by Naomi. She will send a link on the chat box before the end of the program. Another person, you're welcome.
Sarah Mbabazi is my name. I volunteer in training and mentorship with Dr. Gad. You are all welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Another person. Godfrey.
Hello, moderator.
Hello.
Hello, team. Good morning. Olive Chogabiro is my name, Coordinator, Mobilization and Advocacy at NEMRA. You're all welcome to this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Olive. The next person. You don't have any particular order. You can just introduce yourself.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
I'm Salam Mujib. I'm a lecturer with Islamic University where I teach pathology courses. I'm a member, just an ordinary member of NEMRA. Thank you, all of you. You are welcome.
Thank you, Mujib. You're welcome. Any other person?
Hello. Good morning, everyone on the board. I am Preeti Kumari from, I'm PhD scholar at Bara University of Science and Technology and a member of NEMRA. Thank you.
Welcome, Preeti. Another person? I've not heard from Godfrey Mumpe. Are you there, Godfrey?
Hello there, good morning.
Good morning.
Mumpe Godfrey is my name. I'm a member of NEMRA. Thank you.
Welcome, Godfrey Mumpe. Okay, so others will be joining us. I would like to go to the third item of the agenda, which is the presentation, and I take this singular honor and opportunity to introduce Professor. Professor is a seasoned professor, academician who has worked in different organizations, and currently he's the chairman of the Staff Academic Association of Muni University, and he's also working in many other universities, including Gideja University. And he will be able to introduce himself further in more detail than I know him. Professor, you're welcome to introduce yourself, and then you proceed with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. I hope I can be seen. I am in a place where network is regulated because it is in the border. So if you are not careful, you can meet the Sudanese and the Congolese mixed with the Ugandan network. So I have shown my face such that you may not think you are dealing with a robot, but allow me to remove the video for purposes of network, and we see how we can proceed. I hope someone is seeing my screen.
We are seeing your screen, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, so let me see how I can. Yeah, just a minute. I want it to be a bit bigger. I hope it is much bigger now.
Yes,
Correct.
it is.
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much. Now, I am happy to be part of NEMRA family. And I must say that I am grateful for this privilege of sharing the little I know about the research methodology. I am sure each one of us knows something about the research methodology. And even though I am the lead presenter, I want to request the moderator that if anyone has a contribution, a deduction, or any word that goes along that line, you allow them to do it, because knowledge is not a monopoly of any one particular person. And therefore, I am only facilitating on what I know. But I am going to use as much as possible my experience of now, to be specific, now over 25 years in the practical, academic, and knowledge world, because I have studied, I have practiced for quite a long time, from the lowest level to the highest level, and I have taught from kindergarten to PhD. And I have served from a sales executive to a managing director. So with that experience, there are some things perhaps I have seen, and it is the experience I am going to share as I present this methodology. I have done these presentations before, and perhaps people have seen my presentations, and any presentation I make, because of the interactions, the questions I receive, the contributions I receive, I captured them. And therefore, this is an improved version of the previous presentations that I have made. You all agree with me that the methodology is an elephant, but I have tried to package that elephant in some slides. You will bear with me. Some of the slides I have tried to put in more information, because I want to share this presentation at the end of it all. And thereafter, members can be able to take it on. I don't know, NEMRA perhaps will allow people to get my contact. I never put my contact because it was not part of what they authorized me on. I am available. I can continue. We can continue sharing what we may not have shared in these few hours. So without wasting much time, let us go delve directly into what we are supposed to do today. I request that you allow me to present very quickly, then later on we can interact. But if the moderator has any other arrangement, maybe you can announce it now. I can adjust accordingly.
And that's okay, Professor. We shall go with that arrangement.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. So, someone might be asking him or herself, including actually even seasoned researchers, that what is research methodology? Whenever I start presentations, I have been asking such a questions, most especially when they are academic presentations, and I get very many varying answers. So from those answers, and extensive research that I have done, I have come to conclude that research methodology is a systematic approach used to conduct a study. In simple terms, I prefer to call it the how of a research study. So, to put it right, if someone asks you, how are you going to conduct your research study? You would be right to delve into your research methodology because it is the one that answers the question how. Therefore, within any formal piece of academic research, be it a dissertation, census, a journal article, mention them. The methodology chapter should justify the design choices by showing the methods that you have chosen and the techniques, which specifically rhymes. I don't know whether you people have done other chapters, but if you have not done them, research is a chain. You will find the methodology is highly connected to the other previous chapters. Majorly, most universities make research methodology chapter 3, but I also know universities world over, including in Uganda, that make it chapter 4, where they have chapter 3 as the philosophical underpinnings of the study. But majorly, it is most of the universities bring it in as chapter 3, but it is, however, linked to the other chapters because research is systematic. It is like a bicycle chain. Now, what do you consider when you are choosing a research methodology? I have highlighted a few factors that you need to consider. First of all is your research objectives. What information do you require at the end of the project? Number 2 is the significance of the statistics. Are you requiring data-driven research results or statistical answers? Number 3 is the nature of the research. Is it exploratory? Will it require qualitative data or mixed methods or any of the message? Number 4 is the sample size. If it is big, perhaps you may need to use a certain specific design. And number 5 is the time available. If there is more time, then perhaps you may need to consider maybe longitudinal studies and etc. But if the time is not available, as is the case, I have had some students doing PhD. I am happy that some of my PhD students have attended. I am also happy that my senior colleagues are also there, so that they will be able to work with me in this guide. Now, having known that, now we delve into the main components of the research methodology. And I am going to, first of all, explain a component. And at the end of the day, through experience, I will tell you why you choose a specific item in each of those components. I am a bit quick because of time, but I know I have given the detail that will also help you. And even the question time, we shall answer some of these. But for now, I want to give you a highlight and go through. So automatically, we have an introduction. And basically, it tells us how the sections are arranged. It is normally important that immediately thereafter, you state your design, because your design is a framework or blueprint that guides the correction, measurement, and analysis of data. In a sense, it determines how all the study will be conducted. And what is important is it ensures how the research objectives will be met efficiently. It is important for you to understand the research designs. This is where confusion begins from. Some people I have met, they just go to the list of the research designs and pick any of their choice. And when you ask them sincerely, why did you use this design? They are not sure why they have used it. So in this session, I have taken you through the research designs as far as I know them. And I will also take you through why you should choose any of the design. Not just thinking and you say, maybe descriptive is a good word. Let me just use it. And many people do it. And when you attend some of these vivas or some of these seminars, you ask a person, you see, this one has just looked at the word and thinks this is what makes him happy. So I have highlighted some designs. I am talking all that so that if you have time, you read through or yourself, but I have given the descriptive research design, the exploratory research design. I want to spend time on why you should use on any of these designs. And experimental research design. I have seen many scientists here. NEMRA community is a word of many fronts. The course experimental research design. These other guys in science may not use the same as the guys in arts. Then there is correlational research design, case study research design, longitudinal research design, cross-sectional research design, exploratory research design, and action research designs. Those are the 10s that I know. Research is very dynamic. Perhaps there can be others, but these are the most common ones that you use. I have tried as much as possible in each of the designs to describe it, to give the common methods that apply to each specific designs, and I have labored on each of the designs to put an example on where such a design can be used, and this will automatically help each one of you to understand it from that perspective. Now, my key point is on this slide on the right-hand side of your gadget. The key point is on choosing the right design. Yes, the designs are available. Do you just go for any design? There are reasons as to why you should go for any specific design. And I have tried to summarize it at the end by saying choosing the right design. And I am saying if you want to describe, I am trying to summarize it in that way. Then you go to the descriptive design. If you want to explore, then you go exploratory. But if you want to test cause and effect, that's why I said the scientists come here. You use experimental or quasi experimental. The hide slide is to explain all of these designs. But if you want to test relationships, then you don't say, let me use descriptive. Then there you go to the correlational. But there can be times when you need in-depth analysis. And that's why you use case study. Colleagues, you need to take caution that case study is different from a case of. If you have used a case of, you can use all these other designs. But if you have specifically specified that you are going to do case study, and in your methodology, I don't find case study design, that means your research is delinked from your study. Because if you have a specified case study, then that means you need to do an in-depth analysis, and that's the reason you take that approach. If you have time, then there is no reason for you not to do. You can then take on the longitudinal. It will be erroneous and fallacious for you to do a longitudinal study for a 3-year PhD or any of that nearby period. If you are going to do longitudinal, then you need to have some good time to study a phenomenon for quite a longer time. But if you are studying at one time point, then you can go cross-sectional. Some people have asked me, can you use maybe 2 approaches? The answer is yes, if most especially for people who are doing mixed methods, as we shall see as we go ahead. Now, the other key component is the research philosophy or paradigm. And most people, I have seen some studies that skip this, but I want to tell you it is also important because it influences the research design and, in fact, the whole methodology and the data analysis. So I have also a serious challenge there with the people who choose the approach like the same way they do the design. But I want to tell you, as I bring in the main research paradigms, that each of these are based on the method you want to perhaps use. And the same way, I have tried to explain each of the paradigms. I have given the method where it is most applicable, and I have ended it all with giving an example. I don't want to read all that because you will have time to go through it. But what is important for you to note is that you cannot pick any paradigm and just use it any way you want. Each of the paradigms have a specific methodology that it is more applicable to. But you need to also understand that some of the paradigms work for both qualitative and quantitative methods, which is called the mixed methods, because we are going to see it as we move in the subsequent slides. But what is important now, I have given around 7 paradigms. And what is important now is for you to understand how do you choose any of the paradigms, because the previous slides show you what these paradigms mean, which method are they applicable, and we have labored also to give an example there. So now, how do you choose the right research philosophy? And this slide now gives you that perspective. If you believe in objective facts, Then you go positivism. I have already told you that one is quantitative. If you accept some uncertainty, but you rely on empirical methods, then post-positivism is the way to go. You can clearly see that post-positivism is that other theorists were able to understand that positivism is not enough. Then they went post-positivism. Some of these slides I am giving you, if I am to teach or to present on only the paradigms, that is a whole day of presentation itself. So, but I am now trying to highlight what happens in the whole methodology. That's why I have picked key points. But in your time, you can also read about them to understand more. So I've also said if you believe in subjective experiences and multiple realities, then you go interpretivism. And if you prioritize practical aspects and flexible approaches, then pragmatism is the way to go, because this one actually accommodates the mixed methods. And if you study hidden structures influencing society, then you go structuralism. And the same applies to post-structuralism, is an extension of structuralism, like I have talked about the other thing. Someone is telling me he should have met me at the beginning of his PhD. No problem, brothers and sisters. The best time was some time back. The next best time is today. Now, having understood that, the next component now is the research approaches. And I can assure you, this is also challenging. Even I have attended vivas where they ask a PhD student and they say, which approach did you use? Sometimes they answer, sometimes they may also fail to answer. Or if he answers, then I ask him, why did you choose that approach? Then that's where the bigger problems now come in. Then you realize they just saw to an approach, you can pick it from anywhere else. But now we can be guided. Some of these questions I will answer later. The choice of approach of any of those approaches depends on your research problem, objectives, and the nature of data you expect to arrive at. I know 3 main types of research approaches. My colleagues can help me if there is anything I leave out, because I am happy they are my senior colleagues here, the ones who have been my role models even. And the first approach is the quantitative research approach. This one deals with the numerical data, the statistical analysis and the objective measurements. So for you, anything that is numerical, that one now, you know I have to use the quantitative research approach. I have labored to give the methods you can use to collect data for that approach. And I have also given some types of the examples as it in why you use that qualitative approach. The next one is qualitative, and whereas the other one is on numeric, this one focuses on meanings, experiences, and social phenomena. So you would say, since the other one is figures, this one is words. I have also labored to give the methods and I have given examples and the types of the qualitative approach. And the last one is the one that now combines both quantitative and qualitative approaches in a single study. And this is the most common one for most of these students. But you need to understand you can do a quantitative, you can as well do a qualitative, but the mixed method has more advantages on these other ones. So for mixed, if we have to use the simplistic term, you use both the qualitative, you use both the words and the figures to supplement each other. Colleagues, I have also ended it. Someone is saying the presentation needs to be recorded. I think the organizers are doing it, and I will also share these slides to the NEMRA authorities, and through their networks, they will be able to share the slides. So you can, if you want to do a zillion times, you can both listen and be able to follow up. So I have ended this one with also stating how you can choose the right research approach. And I am saying, if your study requires statistical testing and numerical data, then go quantitative. If your study requires deep insights and subjective experiences, then go qualitative. But if you need, yes, there is Engineer Mwase, and he said we have worked together. Thank you very much. That compliment. If you need both numerical data and contextual understanding, so I am, in a sense, I am saying if you need both what I have mentioned above, then you go mixed methods. So I end that component there, and I go to the study area in research. This one is also important because, of course, some people, when they capture it in chapter 1, basically, where there is the study scope, they tend to neglect it. But for area purposes of emphasis and to link your research very well, you can bring the study area here now to confirm what you have already stated in your study scope in the first chapter. Because this one clearly now links, provides a contextual basis for your data interpretation and clearly aligns your research to the relevance of the study objectives. So it, in a sense, defines the physical or contextual boundaries within within which your data is going to be collected, because you are not studying the whole world. So since you are not studying the whole world, now this one clearly defines the boundaries where you are going to operate from, but your findings can now be generalized to the other world that is looking like your study area. I have given examples there, which you will have time to look at on how, which of the study areas, maybe the geographical location, the institutional setting, the community, depending on what you are studying. But again, what is important here is the factors to consider when choosing a the participants Sometimes you can be in an area where data, you decide to study maybe CMI. I can assure you, unless you are the president of this country, if you decide to get data from CMI or ISO or what, you might get a problem. So if I were you, I would choose perhaps another area. If I am studying security, maybe I can go to CID. Perhaps they can be having some information that they can share with the public, something like that. Then, of course, you need to consider the accessibility and the feasibility. If you decide to do a study in Ukraine right now, or Israel some time back, or somewhere there, you might find really challenges and also the ESCO considerations. So you don't just delve into a study area. You need to consider some of these factors before you can choose a specific study area. The next component is a study population. Now, I am defining the population as the entire group of individuals, objects, or events that a researcher wants to study. Whenever I state that definition, some people confuse it and say you must study the whole population because I have said it is the entire group that you want to study. And very recently, I attended some presentation where somebody was saying for him, he has gone to all the places. And I said, now, there is a problem here. Maybe when he attended my presentations, he did not take it very well. And that person even quoted that he attended Nazarious' presentation, and he said a population is the entire group of individuals that the researcher wants to study. And now that one, I have also given the examples there. And this now drives me to what he should have done. So you don't need to study the whole population, because you will not be able. Even if you wanted to, you will miss some out of those things. And that is the major reason you need to study a sample. But the sample should be representative enough of the entire population to ensure valid and reliable results. Going further, we shall be able to understand what reliable and valid results are. And I have clearly stated that a study sample is used because it is not necessary to study everybody in the population. The most important thing is to select the right respondents in a representative and sufficient number. I have given the definition of a sample size. Now, the bigger problem is when you say sample size. I have also met some colleagues who decide on their own to determine the sample size. And you will say, since I have information that Makerere University has 5,000 lecturers, I'm using it as an example, I will choose 2,000. Then when you ask him, how did you arrive at the 2,000? Then trouble begins. Then they say, now you have confused me. So now, like I said before, there are two, I don't know where this one is coming from. Maybe from, there's this red thing that has come in. I don't know where it is coming from. So what is it, I told you that we have qualitative and quantitative approaches. So if you are handling a sample that is qualitative, there are specific formulas for sample size determination. And most people have made a grave mistake of using mixed methods, but they only present formulas for quantitative approach. They don't state how they have arrived at the qualitative sample size. And in this presentation, I have given the few formulas that I know in as far as I am concerned. And the most common one is Kresser and Morgan. These guys have a table and a formula. If you want to use Kresser and Morgan at masters and below, a table is acceptable. But if you are at PhD and the other levels, I would advise you to use a formula for determining the sample size. There is Sloven's formula. You will read them and confirm them. My typist might make a mistake. There is Fixcar's formula. All these I am talking about now are for formulas for determining quantitative sample size. There is Kochlani's. There is Yaman by Tore Yaman. Those are the ones I was able to run on. Like I told you, research is dynamic. There can be others. Then now, like I told you, there are also there is also methods for determining qualitative sample size, and in qualitative we don't base on statistical power. I need to have mentioned that in quantitative we base on statistical power calculations, but in qualitative we are guided by some formula, some methods, and one is data saturation approach. This one is simple. You continue collecting data until no one provides new insights or seems. Then that means you have reached the point of saturation, and you stop there. Then there are also methodological guidelines. There is the phenomenology. They typically state 5 to 25 according to Cresswell and Mose. There is the grounded theory where they are talking 20 and 30 in interviews will really make you reach saturation. And that is by a scholar called Chalmers. There is an ethnography which states a small group, when you study it over an extended period of time, then you reach a time when you have really understood them. Then in a case study, they are saying 1 to 10 cases, depending on the depth of the study. Then there are narrative studies. All these are under methodological. Then the third method is the practical consideration. where there are time resources, heterogeneity and homogeneity, the purpose of the study, and etc. Then lastly, you can also rely on expert recommendations, like guests and others who suggest 6 to 12 interviews for homogeneous when the population is homogeneous. And then there is Mertrud, who also proposes an information power approach, and etc. This is not an exhaustive list for both qualitative and quantitative, because there are some other methods like G-power when you are not sure of the population, but there are methods I have also mentioned which you can use when you are not sure of the population. I will quickly now go to the next item of sampling, and I have, I don't know whether this table is very clear, but I know when they share with you the slide, you will be able to understand it. I borrowed it from the knowledge of Saunders. And what is important for you to know is that we have 2 sampling techniques, the probability and non-probability. And under probability, we have those ones I have mentioned: simple random, systematic, stratified random, cluster, multi-stage. And under non-probability, we have those ones: convenience, self-selection, snowball, quota, and etc. And I have put a description of all these ones so that you can know when to use probability and non-probability. Now, this is another item called data collection methods and tools. I decided to summarize it into a table because I discovered there is a lot of information on the data collection methods and the respective tools. So from that information, I decided to summarize it in a table where I have stated the data collection method, described it, and mentioned the common tools used. And the first one is surveys or questionnaires. In our time, those who are beyond the 5th floor will agree with me. I mean those who are 50 and above. They will tell you that it was clear survey method, you would use questionnaires. And in our time, they were only printed questionnaires. But in the modern world, you have discovered there are many, the tools I have put there. So what I need to clarify there is sometimes some scholars call it survey method, but others call it questionnaire method. I have attended presentations where somebody says questionnaire method and they say that is a tool, not a method. No, it is, there is a scholarly confirmation that it can either be questionnaire or survey method. And this one is majorly used to collect data from a large sample, most especially for the quantitative data. And I have put for you a list of tools as far as I know. Some of my colleagues may know other tools. I have been here to talk about printed questionnaires. We are still using them, but you can also do online, Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, Kobo Toolbox, mobile, or these other mobile data collection apps. You can use them for that method. The other method is interviews. I have also given the tools you can use, including the traditional and modern tools. I have been specific to state both our traditional and then the modern tools that are available. The modern tools are continuously being invented, so the risk can even go more than that. Then, of course, we have the focus group discussions where I use the guide and all these others. Observation, where you use the checklist and these others. Experiments where you use, of course, the laboratory equipment, the experimental protocols, and then the statistical softwares. Then case studies, they also use documents, interview, observation, and all that. Then there is another method called archival review, where you are or documentary review, where you are looking at existing documents, reports. So you are looking at the publications, online databases. And then currently there is also the social media or data mining method, where you are digging data from all these other platforms that are full on the social media. So we are here on the next item, which is data analysis. And like I said before, when you are analyzing data, there are techniques for analyzing quantitative and techniques for analyzing qualitative. And if you are using mixed methods, then that means you use the other both techniques. And I have decided put the techniques forward. In quantitative, you do a descriptive analysis, and the most commonly used tools, I have, of course, also put a technique description and the tools used. For descriptive, you use SPSS. The most common, you use Excel. There is R, there is Stata. There can be others that I may not know, but these ones I am very confident with. Then for inferential statistics, I put a description because I have attended so many vivas where the question, can you differentiate for me between descriptive and inferential statistics, and people get challenges. That's why I put a description for this presentation, such that it might be a bit more clearer. Then, of course, the regression analysis, the correlational analysis, the time series, the fact analysis, all those I have already mentioned, using SPSS and these other methods. Then now there is an extension also of the structural equation modeling, which uses Amos, Risser, and all that. Then there is also very current one of geospatial analysis, which is also being used. Most people are using SPSS, but if you are really examining complex relationships between multiple observed and latent variables, instead of some people have been using multiple regression, you can quickly use the structural equation modeling, which can actually even help you to be able to come up with the new models for your studies. Because I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know whether I have touched anything. Maybe the IT guys can tell me. There are these red markings coming in. I hope they are not disorganizing our presentations. Now, for qualitative data analysis, I have also given you the techniques you used. Number one is thematic analysis. The good thing, if you ask the colleagues in my caliber, for us, we would do these things manually. Currently, there are so many softwares that can help you to do this, including even the quantitative data analysis. We would set the formulas and we do it naturally. These days, there are softwares that can help you. So the same thing, even for qualitative. Thematic, you can use NVivo, Atlas, TAI, Deduce. Then you can still also do the manual coding that we used to do. where you identify the themes, patterns, and you code and categorize accordingly. Then there's content analysis. You can also use some softwares. There's narrative analysis, the same discourse analysis, grounded theory, phenomenological analysis, ethnographic analysis, and sentiment analysis. Colleagues, I hope it is now clear that there are techniques for both quantitative and qualitative, and when you are using mixed methods, you choose the ones here that are applicable to your study and you use them. Now, we have majorly two types of data collection, and I have tried as much as possible to show how they affect each of the data collection methods, but more importantly is for you to know we have the primary data collection and the secondary data collection. And the primary data is the data that is original, that we collect directly for a specific research purpose. And secondary data is information that has already been collected and analyzed by others, but we can use it to augment or strengthen our own studies. I have remembered to put all of that detail to help you understand that aspect more. And now, there are these two things that normally confuse colleagues. I have put the definitions in as far as I know them. And I have said the unit of analysis refers to the main entity or object being studied or analyzed in a research project. The question normally comes, what is your unit of analysis? And some people state the unit of inquiry. So the unit of analysis is the main entity. The unit of inquiry is a specific element in the unit of analysis. So in short, the unit of inquiry zooms into a specific aspect in the unit of analysis. I have put notes for you there such that you can be able to understand them. I am trying to fight with the time such that people can ask their questions and they can contribute, because I'm going to share these slides. Now, the next component is data quality control. Now, when they talk about data quality control, most people will quickly say data quality control means reliability and validity. So that is why I have remembered now to give the key dimensions of data quality. Then later on, I will explain those key components of validity and reliability. And my definition here is that data quality control ensures that collected data is accurate, reliable, and valid for meaningful purposes. Of course, this process involves the key principles and techniques to minimize the errors and inconsistencies, as we shall see ahead. But the key dimensions of data quality control is accuracy, is reliability, is validity, completeness, consistency, and timelessness. I have explained all those terms in a specific detail, in summary there. And this now takes me to the data quality control measures. Some people prefer to call this the process, the research process. I have put it in 3 main categories. What do you need to do before you collect the data? You need to define your clear objectives, develop the standard collection procedure protocol. You need to train your data collectors. Some people go to a secondary school or what, and they say, you give me some 10 people, and they go to collect for me data. They don't know what to do. You have not told them that you don't simply meet a person without agreeing with him, and you start asking. You have not done what? So training becomes core there. Then also you need to pretest the data collection tools that you are going to use. If you don't do that, then you have already failed in the procedure. Then during data collection, what do you need to do? You need to what the Swahili call kusumamia. This is East African community. I have seen also people from other areas. Swahili is a language for East African community. In Swahili, we have a word kusumamia. And in English, the direct translation is supervision and monitoring. You have to supervise and regularly whether the work is flowing fluently. Otherwise, people will stand in one corner and take all the questionnaires and bring back to you. Then you will see trouble when you are analyzing data and it is giving you challenges because it is only one person who filled the 100 questionnaires. Then you need to do data double entry. You need to put in to make 2 independent entries. Because this one now will help you. If you have these data tracks, you put data entrance so that you can have 2 sets of data and you are able to check the discrepancies. Then it is important these days that you use technology. Technology helps you to minimize errors. Because manual errors, like I have told you, sometimes are not easy to detect and they end up affecting your data quality. Then you need to maintain ESCO standards. We shall look at ESCO considerations towards the end, and you will understand why it is important. You need to ensure an informed consent, and you maintain confidentiality. Some people do not want you to mention their names and etc. Then after you have collected data, you need to do data cleaning, you need to do triangulation, that is cross-checking, you need to do statistical checks, you need to do audit trails to make sure the data you have is the required data. Now, having done that, I labored to explain these most common ones you use that ensure reliability and validity of the research instruments. And I have explained the validity. I have mentioned the types, the most common ones, and most PhD students and some others normally use content validity index in validity, and when it is higher than 7, then they say that is okay according to those authors I have given you there. Then for reliability, many people use internal consistency reliability, that is Cronbach alpha, which is also when it is over 7 people can do it. All of these can be determined now by so many softwares, including SPSS. I have also labored to give ways to improve each validity and reliability and the relationship between both. So that means you must do a validity test and a reliability test because they complement each other. Colleagues, allow me now to go to ESCO considerations in research. In research, you must ensure ESCO consideration in order to be sure that you have conducted research responsibly, you have protected the rights, dignity, and welfare of all participants. And I am beginning with the fundamental ESCO principles. And number A is respect for persons. Number B is do not harm, which is beneficence. These ones are based on some international ESCO guidelines, as we shall see. And C is justice, ensuring fair selection of participants. So, for your case, having known these fundamental ESCO principles, what do? A, you must seek informed consent. You must ensure that participants receive clear information about the study's purpose, procedures, risks, and benefits. And these consent forms should be written in a simple and understandable language. Actually, when you seek ESCO clearance from any ESCS committee or institutional review board, as we shall see on approval, they will sometimes ask you even to translate these consent forms in a language of the area where you are going to conduct your study, such that it is simple for people to understand. And in cases involving minors, you need to obtain parental or guardian consent in addition to the child's assent automatically, but legally a child does not consent, so you must seek that. Then confidentiality and anonymity is important. Please, you need to keep data private and secure. You can use anonymous identifiers instead of real names. You can also store data in a password protected system, or you can make it encrypted. Then you must ensure involuntary participation. Don't coerce people. And at any time they want to withdraw, leave them to go without any penalty. Let it be free entry and exit. Then you must avoid bias and misrepresentation. So when I look at your ESCO consideration item, I expect these to be clearly stated, how you are going to do all this, or if you have conducted a study, how you have done all this. And the key for ESCO consideration, it is not a matter of stating it. You must seek clearance from an institutional review board. In Uganda, we have, I think, the National Council for Science and Technology. My colleagues will confirm that, but that's what I know. But we have specific ESCS committees that are approved by National Council of Science and Technology that review our ESCO issues and then send to the institutional review board for approval. Then, more importantly, you must follow international ESCO guidelines. There is the Berment report of 1979. That one talks about respect, benefits, and justice. Then there is the Helsinki Declaration of 1964. It has been updated. And this one, it talks about the ESCO guidelines for medical research. Our colleagues like the chairman and others normally use that. I have tried to put specific ESCO issues in research methods, and I have put a method, the 4 main methods, and the ESCO issues that you can put there. And what is important for you now to note on ESCO consideration, someone one time asks that if I don't follow the ESCO considerations, what happened? And I have put the consequences of violating the ESCO issues. Number one is loss of credibility and academic integrity. Because now people will say, this one is not considerate, therefore he has no integrity. We should not even take his work seriously. Then, of course, there are legal consequences for violating data protection laws. There is one I identified called the GDPR. You can read about it. Then, of course, there is likely harm to participants, which may lead to psychological or social risks. And the worst case scenario also is where they retract some of your publications because there are ESCO issues which have come up. Now we are going, I think, to maybe almost the last component, if not the least, the limitations of the study. And I have tried as much as possible to specify the major limitations that can be in the study. I normally read work as an external examiner, as an internal, and you look at some of the limitations. Someone puts up a limitation that my wife is very strict. Sometimes when I go for research and I come late in the night, he thinks I had gone to check on my concubines or what. So you say, now, what do we do now? This limitation, now, how is he going to be overcome it? So I have tried to put the most common ones that can help you to avoid such a scenario like the one I read. And one is methodological limitations. There is limitation on time and resource constraint. There is theoretical and conceptual limitations. Then there is ethical and practical limitations. Now, most importantly is you cannot remove the limitations. It is a must. Now, important is how to address these limitations. And I am saying in your study, in your proposal or anything, you acknowledge them openly in your report. I have also, this is also another way to address them. You can use methods to complement weaknesses in one of the approach. If the weaknesses are in quantitative, then you use also qualitative to complement the weaknesses. Maybe where it is feasible, you can increase the sample size. You can even someone is saying the limitation of the wife. There are so many limitations because of times. There are those I have read and I have said, hey, there is a problem in society. So conduct pilot studies to refine instruments. You can also suggest areas for future research so that you can address the existing research. So for each limitation you state, you need to also state how you addressed it. If you did not address it, then it affects your study in one way or the other. Colleagues, I have also given references. I thank you very much for listening to me, and I look forward for an opportunity to share with you more. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Professor Nazarious, thank you very much for that insightful presentation about research methodology. It has been very educative, very informative, very revealing. You've presented it with all the energy and we have benefited, I believe. You told us we should give time for people to react, to deduct, to add, to comment. So this is the time I'm opening the floor for those who have something to say. You put up your hand, then I call your name, and then you make your comment or recommendation or a question. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thank all these people who have put their comments. Most of them are compliments. Yes, some of my colleagues I have met, I have worked, some I have mentored, some have mentored me. Please register, thank you. Yes, some are saying I should be, I am already a member of NEMRA. There are those who are saying, wanted to know whether I am a member. Yes, I am a member, fully subscribed. I don't know whether the year has ended. Maybe I will check with the treasury. Yes, what I can assure you with the moderator's permission and the NEMRA fraternity, for those who want to share with me more, they can share my contact. I don't want to use someone else's platform to share my own contact. And my colleagues, I have seen senior colleagues present. If you feel there is anything perhaps I have forgotten, or I have not done very well, or I have not, or I have done well, but it can be improved, you are free also to contribute. This is not a court session where I have to win a case. This is an educative seminar or presentation. I can also learn from you. I don't know it all 100%. I thank you.
It's free to unmute and make your comment or question.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. My name is Walker Frank. Mine is what is your comment on the advancement of AI in relation to research? You know, AI has, I don't know whether simplified and made some things that people will not have to put in a lot and do the actual research, but the laziness as well and all that. What's your comment on AI regarding research? Thank you.
Yes,
I
will take 5 questions, then answer them.
Another question?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Chembo is my name, a student at Chao in Zambia. I just wanted to find out from Professor. He talked about the study area where he said the study area should encompass the location, describe the area of study. Now, I wanted to find out there are differences between the study area and the scope, and how is the scope, or rather, where is the scope comes in. The second question is on the qualitative. We talked about the method. If suppose you've used 2 methods, that is both qualitative and quantitative. And there the professor did mention that on stating the sample size, a researcher has to mention the 2 methods in which to determine the sample size. Now, I wanted to find out if you are doing a research which is both qualitative and quantitative. Are you supposed to state the figures, that is the sample size, the figure for qualitative alone, and the figure for quantitative alone? Thank you very much, Doc. And thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you for your
Yes,
question. Yeah, 2 more. I think you said 185.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yes.
Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm calling from Zambia. I want to find out, in one of the presentations, final PhD presentation that I attended, there was a question which was put by one examiner, and it was pointing to issues of ontology, epistemology, and axiology, that they are not a philosophy. I didn't actually understand this question. So is there a difference between philosophy and paradigm? And then under which term can one explain issues of ontology, epistemology, and axiology? Because these come under research methodology. Thank you, Professor.
Yes, one more question.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Professor. I'm Salam Mujib from Islamic University in Uganda. Yes, my question is on issue of assumptions in research. What comes under assumptions? So please help me clarify further. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any colleague who would want to answer any of the questions before I come in, such that we avoid the monotony? Mr. Moderator, through you, sir, we can allow any colleague who would want to answer any of the questions. Then if he is not there, then I can come in to avoid the monotony in the presentation.
Anybody who wants to answer some of the questions, you are welcome.
Please, can we have the questions again so that we can see if we can have an attempt at them?
Okay, let me answer those the way I know I have picked them. Then my colleagues can add on, because if we have to repeat, I see we have only 30 minutes.
Well, Professor.
Yeah, so we begin with the first one was on AI. It was on AI is artificial intelligence. And the colleague was worried actually that is AI not going to cause us problems. And I am here to give you, first of all, assurance that AI is not going to cause problems. Instead, it is going to augment what we are doing. And more important to note that is that we cannot do away with AI. The best way is to learn how to live with the AI, because AI has transformed the research landscape. That one is a fact you cannot deny. It has transformed the research landscape by offering unprecedented opportunities for both scientists, researchers, and scholars. However, it is important that when we use AI, we need to humanize it. I think we need to underline the word humanize. You should not allow AI to think for you. You should be able to humanize it. That AI is important, yes, it is. And we have been able, so many, you will agree with me, even the person who asked the question, as in one way or the other, used it. But now what is important is to humanize AI. So we need to learn how to live with the AI. I don't know whether I have answered him sufficiently. If I have not, my colleagues will add on. The second question was about scope and the study area, if I am not mistaken. If I forget, Mr. Moderator, you you help me. I'm looking for this thing where I wrote this thing. So I want to clearly state that study area and scope are distinct. In study area, we are referring to the context of the location, organization, of the study. Then in scope, we are referring to the extent or range of the research investigation. That's why in scope of study, we are talking about geographical scope, theoretical scope, content scope. Which else? Which one else? I think there are 4 that we talk about. So yeah, and the time scope, yes. Yes, and time scope. Yes. So in study area, we are referring to a specific, we are saying Trudu Hospital in Kampala is where we are going to study the following. But in the scope, we are saying we are going to use this time. Chirudu is in a capital city in Uganda. You can locate us with these Google coordinates and what. But in the scope, we are more wide, and in the area, we are specific. The other colleagues can add on. The other one was, do you need to state both quantitative and qualitative sizes? The answer is yes. Please state both. Then there was another question on philosophy and paradigm. And he was bringing in the triangle of ontology and what and what. Maybe the one who asked the question on philosophy and there was a question on philosophy and paradigm. Maybe you can repeat the question. I understand it better. Maybe I did not pick it very well.
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
It's me, Stari from Zambia. The examiner in this final PhD defense told the candidate that ontology, epistemology, and axiology are not philosophical issues.
They are paradigms.
So they are paradigms. So I got confused there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know whether you picked it there.
Okay. Now I have picked it. Ontology, epistemology, and people call it axiology or methodology. Those are research paradigms. Now, the main purpose of a research paradigm is that it forms a foundation for the studies, research, and methodologies. And when somebody tells you that what is the difference between research paradigm and philosophies, you need to say, when we are working on a methodology, we don't bring in therefore, when you are building a house, you don't say there is a foundation. You show the house and say it is very good. Huh? So, philosophies are dependent upon specific paradigm. For example, positivism is in epistemology, and the others also, like structuralism, you can find it grounded in epistemology and etc. etc. So these are like foundations for the philosophies. If I am put it in a layman's language, for people to quickly not get confused, like at that Viva where you got challenged. So the others are philosophies, and I said philosophies are grounded in briefs, but there is a paradigm to where they belong. Then the other question was on what? On the last question was on Mr. Moderator. Can you remember?
Assumptions in research.
Eh?
Assumptions.
As on assumption. Maybe that one can repeat it. I did not pick that question on assumptions.
Yeah, okay, Professor, please. The question is, there is this aspect of assumptions. Like we have limitations, we also have assumptions in research. I was asked what comes under these assumptions. Like you have just given us a very good example under limitations. What should we list when we are mentioning assumptions in research? That's my question, sir.
Oh, okay. There are simple assumptions in research, but the structure of common methodology do not list these assumptions. But you can use them as you argue maybe your presentations, as you argue your defenses and all of that. So I am going to tell you the assumptions that I know. Are you writing? You said your name is?
I am Salam Mujib from IUIU. Kampala.
Yes, I know. I know for assumptions, Salam. Since for you, you are very near, we can debate them further. Eh? I know theoretical assumptions. Of course, these are assumptions based on existing theories and framework. I know methodological assumptions that relate to sampling strategy, research design, and collection methods. Statistical assumptions. These are related to statistical tests and analyses. And then cultural assumptions, which are based on the cultural background of the researcher, which may influence the interpretation. For example, my colleague who asked the question is a Muslim, he might be a Muslim from maybe Mbale. I might be a Mchiga from another area. Our cultural backgrounds can affect our interpretations. Those are the assumptions I know, sir. But the reason perhaps why they asked you to identify these assumptions is that it helps you to avoid bias. It improves the generalizability. It facilitates replication and improves validity. That is all I can state on that question. We still have minutes, ndugu moderator, because I see the program is still there. And
Yeah,
in a sense,
we can take another round of 5 questions, then we stop there. Then we have
yeah.
the other item. Yes.
Yeah, because you know, online when you go beyond 2 hours, it becomes challenging. Most especially when you are dealing with the mature people like the ones we have now.
So questions are again open. Please unmute and say your question or comment.
There are people who put, I don't know whether moderator, you are reading those messages. I don't know whether there are questions there. Yeah, let me see.
Please, can I ask that question?
Hello,
Yes, ask.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So this is still Salam. This question is on financial constraints. When you say you conduct a research and you are saying part of your limitation is financial constraints. I've ever witnessed a PhD, a defense where they told the candidate that you should have waited for the time to have the money to conduct the research, that you should not list financial constraints as a limitation. Please, what is your take on this, Professor?
Okay, that is one.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
I'm called Robert Sabit Rutanga, and I'm a student in Makerere University.
Yes.
I have a small question on limitations, especially what are the most common limitations with panel data, that is the form of secondary data, and how can they be overcome? Thank you so much for the excellent presentation, Professor.
Thank you. Another question.
Common. Sorry, about common limitations
with panel data.
Yes, that is secondary
which is a
data.
form of secondary data. Yes, please.
Yes.
And how can they be overcome?
Okay.
Good morning, Professor.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mine is on target population versus the sample size. Before one arrives at their sample size, they need to redefine their target population. I've seen many students getting tempted to thinking just of numbers. Just think about the number to put under sample size. Of course, there are so many methods we use to calculate sample size, but on the target population, what is the best way of determining the target population? For example, if I'm conducting a study in Lusaka province, one of the provinces in Zambia, before I get to my sample size, what would be the best way maybe of arriving at the target population? Because I need to have this figure before I have the figure for sample size. Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Good morning, Professor.
Yes, please.
Yes, I'm Prof. Nalagala from Mutesa, Uganda.
Please.
Yes, my question is about, because we have talked about assumptions, but then what's the difference between like the assumptions you've talked about and hypothesis in your research? I need some maybe clarification about that. I'm just a student for master's, so I need to learn more.
So your question is?
The hypothesis and assumptions, because all along I thought that hypothesis
yes.
means like,
okay, I will explain it. It is okay.
All right, Prof.
Any other?
Any other?
Prof, you can go ahead and answer what they have
Okay, let
asked.
me answer those ones very quickly. The first one was about financial constraint. Okay. Now, it is important to note that you cannot conduct a research without finances. Now, there is a very, very, very big challenge at Viva. And the question they normally ask is that for you, you did this study not knowing at the end of the day you are going to do research. And the most important for you to explain to them is that I had to do a budget for this research. But this budget, because of the limited resources, and money is a scarce resource, I continuously kept on adjusting my budget, which in effect may have affected my data collection methods or tools. But at the end of the day, maybe I expected to get a loan, it did not come. Then I borrowed from a friend. So the limitation of time, of financial constraint is a clear limitation to everybody, including the people who ask it. Personally, I don't ask that one at Viva because I know it is a constraint. But I am interested on how you overcame that constraint. If someone says it is expected, no, it is not expected. Nazarious can promise Salim that I will give you 20 millions for research. However, Nazarious would have wanted to do it, but perhaps he got sick and he went to India and used the money he wanted to give you. At the end of the day, even though you had prepared, you get challenges. Then now, you go to another person, maybe Swipe, or who, and you say, I mean, Swahaba, there is a problem here. I expected money from Nazarious, and now. So you can say, maybe I borrowed money, I'm paying it, and what? But this is a limitation. You believe me or not, that limitation is there. Whether they ask it at Viva or they don't ask it, it is a limitation. I have also been at Vivas where they ask it, and when the student goes out, and we urge on it. Because, you know, in an academic world, perhaps those who have not attended those high-quality Vivas, they don't know that we engage ourselves now, a panel, member to panel member on some of these issues that you say. But at Viva, we want to know whether you know the thing very well. It depends upon how you argue it. But I can confirm to you, Salim, in my own understanding, I would take that as a limitation. But other colleagues can challenge it. The scholarly world, we agree to disagree. Then the common limitations with the secondary data. The first one, I think for you, you want answers so you can write. The first one is lack of control over data collection. You don't know how they collected that data. They may have used methods that may not align with yours or may align. So you don't have control over data collection. There might be data quality issues because it might be outdated. They might have collected it maybe in the COVID period or in by during maybe the Biden administration in America. Now you need new data in the Trump administration. So it may be outdated or incomplete or even inaccurate. Or they might be limited scope and depth. You might find it is summarized. There might be biases and errors. For example, data is quoting Nazarious, whom you later on met in a hotel eating chicken, yet they said he does not eat chicken. Maybe he got medicine for taking chicken now. You may it may lack context, where you may find difficulty in understanding its origin. It may be compatible to the your research questions or objectives. This data also depends on the researcher's assumptions. We have already talked about assumptions. And of course, there might be ethical concerns and etc. and etc. You can go on, you can do a study, research about that, but those are the ones I can get off head. There was a question, I think, on study population, target population, and sample size. I will use an example to answer that. And my colleague from Zambia can write it. In illustrating those three terms, let me use an example of diabetes. Diabetes is a disease. So, and I'm using an example about diabetic medication. So, for study population, I will be looking at all diabetes patients. Maybe I can even be specific. I can say all adults of type 2 diabetes who are taking medication to manage. No, sorry, all adults with type 2 diabetes in Zambia. You said you come from Zambia. Hello? Am I still on?
Yes, you are
Professor,
on.
you are still on.
Is this gentleman who asked the question still on?
Yeah, he's
okay,
on.
I can answer others. They will tell him.
Yeah, he's
Yes, he's on.
So, Chembo, I am saying for study population is all adults with type 2 diabetes in Zambia. Then for target population is adults with type 2 diabetes who are taking medication to manage their condition. The first one is all patients who have diabetes. The second one is diabetes patients who are on medication. That is target population. Then sample population is a certain number, maybe 500 or 1,000 adults with type 2 diabetes who have been recruited from those who are taking a medication. So if you can draw a bigger circle of 3 circles, small, bigger, then biggest. The biggest you put study population, and you say adults with the type 2 diabetes in Zambia. Then you go to the second circle, you put target population. You say adults with type 2 diabetes who are on medication. Then the smaller one, you call it sample size. You say as a number of a limited number of adults, maybe 1,000, with the type 2 diabetes who have been recruited from those ones who are taking medication. I hope it is clearer now.
Very
If it is,
then
so the last one was from the lady from Mutesa 1, Royal University. And I am telling her hypothesis I have already, assumptions I have already explained them. I am not going there, but I now want to explain a hypothesis. And I am explaining it as a tentative explanation. It is a prediction. It is a prediction that is later on tested through research or experimentation. It is, I can call it, as a statement that proposes the relationship between variables. And if you want to understand it, I know around 4 types of hypotheses. I know the null hypothesis. That one states that there is no significant relationship. Then there is alternative hypothesis that says there is a significant difference or relationship. Then there is the directional hypothesis. This one predicts that the direction of course, this one predicts that there is this relationship is taking this direction. Then, of course, there is non-directional that it does not say there is a relationship or there is no relationship. So these ones, you later on prove them wrong or right. There is a big difference to assume that Nazarious is married. If it is another hypothesis, you can say there is no relationship between maybe Nazarious and women or whatever. Later on, you might find I have a relationship with them. Then you reject the null hypothesis. If you find it is true, I don't have, then you accept the hypothesis. So the hypothesis must be proved later. But the assumptions, they might be there or they might not be there, as I explained earlier on. So in a hypothesis, it is clear and conscious, and you must test it, and it is specific, and at the end of the day, you must measure it, which you don't do in the assumptions. Colleagues, as far as I know, that is how I can explain. Robert Savit, your hand is up. Maybe we get the last question from you. I can see the time is up.
No, I should have put it down, actually. Thank you, Professor.
Yes, fine. Yeah, back to you, Mr. Moderator. I thank all of you for participating. I thank NEMRA for giving me an opportunity to share the little I know about research. I am available for collaborations. I am available for consultations, and we can always move together. Thank you very much for listening to me. We share more in the future.
Thank you, Professor, for answering. Thank you, colleagues, for the active participation in the discussion. We are now going to the next item on the agenda, which is the communication from the MD NEMRA. Dr. Karmax, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Nazarious. And thank you very much, Dr. Martin, for moderating this session. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for today's attendance and for trusting your one and only network, NEMRA. Professor Nazarious, in a special way, we know you are a member of NEMRA, but we can't take it for granted for you spending all these 2 hours sharing with all of us the great knowledge about research methodology. We do know that Professor Nazarious is based at Muni and other universities. So NEMRA here and the learning space on Saturday is not his space and position. But we know, as it's always been said, that leaving my teaching position and space, but bringing my teacher voice with me. So Professor Nazarious, we thank you very much for keeping in your teaching position and bringing your teacher voice to NEMRA on this 1st of March today. So we really cannot thank you enough for giving us the 2 hours. But as we said recently, we said research methodology is a cornerstone to all the research you need. You get it wrong, you have it, or you have everything upside down. So that said, we know this was just a teaser, a starter. The main course or the main meal is on the way, because we had planned the presentation by Professor Nazarious in a 2 series, research methods 1 and research methods 2. What he has just done, he was just giving us the teaser. The main course is coming soon. So we want you to keep ears on the ground. Professor Nazarious will be coming again soon. I've seen a comment from a member who said that we needed to go step by step, and indeed, next will be about that. That said, we also want to take this opportunity to thank our first visitors. We got members from Zambia, we got members from Zimbabwe, and other neighboring countries. Thank you very much. NEMRA, as you can see on the screen, that is just a brochure that summarizes what we are and what we do. But as you can see, it's basically a network of members. I've had a member, I think Yvonne from Muhimbo, who wants to join. Right after here, we are going to share with you how to join. But basically, it's basically you pay subscription, and this subscription is just one-time subscription for the entire year. As an individual, you only pay 100,000 in Ugandan shillings or equivalent in any other currency. But at the same time, for membership that comes in as an institution, for example, today we've got Mutesa Royal University. It came as an institution. We've got another institution in Dublin. That one, you pay 2 million. No, you pay 1 million as membership for 1 year. And then you can commit to pay as a life member, and that is just 2 million. So what we do is shared in this brochure. I shared it earlier on because I knew you'd not get enough time. But here, NEMRA is a network that supports postgraduate students, support researchers, and any other activity that you do in the academic sphere. I want to take this opportunity to share with you our next program. Our next program or our next seminar is coming on 29th of March, 2025. It is going to be facilitated by Professor Shira Rong. Professor Shira Rong will be talking to us on how best you can develop a research career. But Professor Shira Rong belongs to Southeast Technological University in Dublin, Ireland. SETU, or Southeast Technological University, is one of our institutional members from our northern partners in Europe. That said, I also want to take this opportunity to thank the members that joined NEMRA this month. We've got about 5 of them. Dora Kichoncho, I think he's a PhD student. Sylvia Orr, PhD student. Helen Dagire, Doroka Kalafa, and Christine Karungi. So the 5 members, thank you very much for thinking about NEMRA and joining. But also, as part of the benefits that you gain while in membership of NEMRA, we are sending out a registration form. This registration form is picking the data on your area of specialization, your skill set, what you'd want to gain as a NEMRA member, and all these other activities that we do. We are trying to improve our website. As you can see on that brochure, there is NEMRA Africa, different social media platforms and other platforms. But one of it is actually NEMRA website. On NEMRA website, currently, the members are not registered and indicated there. So this form that we are sending out, the registration form, is going to be picking data to ensure that we get to update our website and include your photo, your data on the website. Because you clearly know, sometimes you're asked a question, maybe you have applied for a UN job, they're asking you, where else do you belong? Do you have any network you belong to? So NEMRA is trying to do this to ensure that if you submit anywhere in the world and indicate that you belong to NEMRA, somebody should be able to find your name, your details on the NEMRA website. I also, lastly, I want to share with you that in May 2025, we have lined up a training workshop on research methods by Professor Peter Samuels. Professor Peter Samuels belongs to the University of Wolverhampton in the UK. Professor Peter Samuels will be here in Uganda in May 12th, 15th to share with us on different aspects on how you grow as a researcher, but majorly on best practices within the research methodology sphere. We are going to be sharing the details later on how best you can become part of this training. But one thing you need to be assured of, the eligibility, first of all, will depend on whether you are able to develop a proposal, whether it is for research funding, whether it's for PhD, but you should be at the moment having an idea, say in form of a concept or already developed proposal. That is one of the conditions for you to be admitted for this course in May, 12th, 15th, presented by Professor Peter Samuels. From NEMRA here, we are working as a big team, but in leadership, I'm Karl Max Rutaro, doctor. biochemistry, and I lead the day-to-day activities of NEMRA. We have training department, we've got research department, we've got finance and administration, and all these activities, including advocacy and publicity, headed by Princess Chog. So in the interest of time, I want to stop here, but please feel free to reach out to us, advise where there is need, and always come on board to volunteer. Much of NEMRA work is volunteership. So come on board. You can volunteer in all those different departments we've mentioned. And maybe last of the last, we have our second annual conference. It's going to take place at Makerere University on 1st and 2nd of July. We've already received abstracts. We've already sent out invitations. We've already started booking on some of the materials that we'll need and other logistics. So we are set for July NEMRA second conference, multidisciplinary conference. If you've not yet sent in your abstract, you can still participate. Or if they make a new call to have more abstracts, please come on board, be part of the knowledge community under NEMRA. With this, we thank you very much once again for being part of today's session. And Professor Nazarious, Rukanyangira, Muhimbo, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We meet next time. Bye.
Thank you, MD, for those beautiful remarks. Thank you, everyone, for the active participation. I've been Martin Muhereza, Doctor in charge of research and grants and publication at NEMRA. I thank you all for joining. See you next time.